Watch this goal kick. Now watch the goalkeeper. He's just standing there. He isn't injured. He isn't confused. He is deliberately refusing to touch the ball at the one moment in football that was literally invented for him. Now watch this one. And this one. 3 different teams. 3 different continents. 1 tournament. Here's the number that made me pull on this thread. At the 2018 World Cup, goalkeepers took every single goal kick. All of them. At the 2022 World Cup, that fell to 91%. At this World Cup, across the group stage, it collapsed to 52%. Half. Half of the goal kicks at a World Cup were not taken by a goalkeeper. That is not laziness, and it is not a coaching fashion. It is a loophole. It has a birth date. It has an exact sentence in the rulebook that makes it work. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you a move that referees are officially instructed to neither allow nor punish. A piece of football that exists in a legal blind spot. If you like football explained through the rulebook instead of through opinions, subscribe. That's the whole channel. Now let's go back to 2019 because that's where this starts. On the 1st of June, 2019, football's lawmakers, the IFAB, quietly deleted a requirement that had existed for over a century. Until that day, a goal kick was not in play until the ball left the penalty area. That single condition is why every goalkeeper of your childhood hoofed it. They didn't hoof it because they were bad at passing. They hoofed it because a short pass inside the box was illegal. Think about what that did to an entire century of football. Every goal kick was a coin flip aimed at a tall man in the middle of the pitch. 50-50 in the air, then a scramble. Then whoever won the second ball got possession. It wasn't a tactic. It was a tax, a moment where both teams agreed to hand the ball to chance, 40 or 50 times a match. And then one line was deleted, and that tax disappeared overnight. Today the text reads differently. The ball is in play the instant it is kicked and clearly moves, and opponents must stay outside the penalty area until that moment. Read those 2 lines together and something strange appears. The team taking the goal kick now owns a rectangle of the pitch that no opponent is legally allowed to stand in. 44 yards wide, 18 yards deep. A private room, guaranteed by law, once per restart. So the short goal kick makes sense? Fine. But that explains why goalkeepers started passing short. It does not explain why goalkeepers stopped taking the kick at all. Because think about it. The goalkeeper is standing right there. He is the best positioned player on the pitch to restart the game. Why hand the job to a center back who has to walk 20 yards to do it? The answer is one sentence buried in Law 16, and almost nobody outside a coaching staff has read it. Here it is. Once the ball is in play, if the player who took the kick touches it again before anybody else does, the referee awards an indirect free kick against them. Sounds like bookkeeping. It isn't. It's the whole video. Because that sentence means the taker of a goal kick cannot receive the return pass. He is, for one phase of play, removed from his own team. So if the goalkeeper takes the kick, he passes to a center back, and then he is unavailable. The defender on the ball has 10 teammates and can use maybe 2 of them because the rest are marked. That's a build-up with the numbers against you. Now flip it. Let the center back take the goal kick. He passes to a teammate, and the goalkeeper, untouched, unbooked, fully eligible, is now a free outfield player standing in space that no opponent was allowed to occupy a second earlier. The team didn't sign anyone. It didn't change formation. It changed who bends down to place the ball. And it gained a man. Here's why that one extra man is worth so much. Pressing works by matching bodies. You press 11 with 11 and hope the mistake comes. But you cannot press a goalkeeper the way you press a defender, because the goalkeeper can use his hands the moment the ball is in the air, and because chasing him leaves the goal open behind you. The free man isn't just an extra passing option, he's the one passing option your press was never designed to cover. And a press that can't cover everybody has to make a decision in real time about who it's willing to leave alone. That decision is the crack. Send a forward at the goalkeeper and a center back is suddenly unmarked. Leave the goalkeeper and he has all afternoon to pick a pass. Either way, somewhere on that pitch, a player is standing in space wearing your team's mistake. That's why the best build-up sides look slow and boring for 8 passes, and then suddenly aren't. They're not waiting for magic. They're waiting for you to choose. And there's a second loophole stacked on top of the first, which is somehow even stranger. There is no offside offense when a player receives the ball directly from a goal kick. None. Your striker can stand behind the last defender, arms crossed, openly cheating, and the moment that goal kick is struck long, he is legally onside. So the goal kick is the only restart in football where the attacking team is guaranteed a free man in 2 completely different places at once. Short. Inside a box, the opposition is banned from entering, or long, behind a defensive line that offside cannot protect. The defending team cannot cover both. It can only choose which one to give away, which is exactly what I want you to do in the comments. Next match you watch, tell me which one your team's opponent decides to surrender, the short one or the long one. Because once you see the choice being made, you can read the entire game plan before the first pass. All of this rewired the job of the goalkeeper itself. The man who leads FIFA's technical study group at this World Cup, the former Switzerland keeper Pascal Zuberbühler, described the modern goalkeeper as almost a quarterback. Not simply someone who stops goals, but someone who dictates the opening phase of possession, and the effect is measurable. Passes played beyond the opposition's defensive line have more than doubled since the previous World Cup. Think about what that means for the people who play the position. For 100 years, goalkeepers were selected for reflexes, height, and courage. Now the first thing a recruitment department checks is whether the man can receive a ball under pressure with his weaker foot 6 yards from his own net, with a striker sprinting at him. An entire profession changed its entry requirements because of a sentence in Law 16. And somewhere right now, there is a teenager who is a genuinely brilliant shot stopper, quick, brave, reads a cross better than anyone at his club who will never play at the top level because he is uncomfortable receiving a pass on his left foot. He didn't get worse. The job description moved out from underneath him. Nobody announced that. There was no press conference. A rule changed, and years later, a group of players quietly stopped being employable. And here's the bill. The loophole moved football's most common mistake from the halfway line to the 6-yard box. Every short goal kick is a small bet. Win it, and you've broken a press with one pass and gone from your own goal line to the halfway line in 4 seconds. Lose it, and you have handed a striker an open net from 12 yards, and your goalkeeper's face is the thumbnail of somebody else's video by Tuesday. And notice how unfairly that bet is priced. When it works, nobody remembers it. A completed pass inside your own box is the least memorable event in football. When it fails, it is the single most humiliating way a goal can be conceded, and it gets replayed for a decade. Which tells you something about the coaches who insist on it anyway. They are not doing it for style. They've done the arithmetic, and they know that the disasters are loud and rare, and the small gains are silent and constant, which is why this has become the great equalizer. At this tournament, FIFA's analysts singled out Cape Verde's goalkeeper, Vozinha, for an outstanding performance against Spain, one of the clearest signs of how much a smaller nation's survival now runs through this one position. That's the modern game in one image. The gap between a giant and a debutante is no longer only about strikers. It's about who is calmer with the ball at their feet inside their own box. Now, the thing I promised you at the start. Once teams realized the goal kick was a legal loophole, they started probing for more. And someone tried this. At a goal kick, chip the ball up to a teammate, have that teammate head or chest it back to the goalkeeper, and let the goalkeeper catch it with his hands and restart. The IFAB published a clarification on it, and their conclusion was that technical and refereeing experts are split on whether it respects the spirit of the laws, so until they decide, the practice should not be permitted, and it should not be punished either. If it happens, the referee simply orders the goal kick to be retaken. Read that again. There is a move in football that is neither legal nor illegal. It is not banned. It is not penalized. It is just quietly erased and everyone starts over. If nobody has ever told you that before, that's what a like does for this channel. Takes a second. Now, how do you actually stop any of this? You can't press the goalkeeper inside a box you're not allowed to enter. So elite teams stopped trying to attack the first pass and started hunting the second one the moment the ball leaves that protected rectangle and the protection ends. And FIFA's analysts put a number on why that matters. Across this World Cup, they found a strong link between counterpressing and winning. Teams that won matches regained the ball, on average 4 seconds faster than teams that lost. 4 seconds. That's the entire gap between a system that works and one that gets played through. Not 4 seconds of running, 4 seconds of deciding who jumps, who covers, who holds. The teams winning this World Cup aren't fitter than the teams losing it. They're quicker at agreeing. Except now the story turns, because the lawmakers have noticed what they created and they've started closing it. 2 clocks have been added to the penalty area. First, if a player unfairly delays their team's goal kick, the referee whistles and counts down 5 seconds with a raised hand, and if the kick isn't taken, the opposition gets a corner. Second, a goalkeeper who controls the ball with his hands for more than 8 seconds also concedes a corner, a rule that replaced the old 6-second indirect free kick that referees almost never enforced. So look at the arc. In 2019, a deleted line handed the deepest part of the pitch to whoever was brave enough to play there. Within 6 years, it became so effective and so slow that the same lawmakers put a stopwatch on it. Football didn't evolve into this. It was legislated into it, and it's being legislated back out. Which brings us back to those 3 goal kicks from the beginning. That goalkeeper standing still wasn't switched off. He was making himself eligible. That center back walking 20 yards to place the ball was buying his team an extra player. And that striker loitering behind the last defender wasn't offside, and never could have been. You've watched thousands of goal kicks. You'll never watch one passively again. And that 4-second number I mentioned, FIFA's own analysts think it's the closest thing this sport has to a formula for winning. That's the next video. See you there.